All right, so you're thinking about getting into trading. It's this world filled with incredible opportunity, for sure, but let's be real. For a newcomer, it can feel like you're walking through a minefield. So how do you actually start off on the right foot? Let's break it down.
You've seen this, right? It's the ultimate hook, the idea that you can double your money in 60 seconds. It's plastered all over social media. And honestly, it's a super powerful lure that pulls thousands of new people into the market every single day. But before you even think about jumping in, there's a huge warning you absolutely need to hear. And this quote, it just nails it. That social media hype, it's pretty much the fastest way to lose your money. Trading is not about chasing somebody else's wins. It's about building your own strategy. And that starts with a really solid foundation. So, how do you do that? Okay, so where do you actually begin? Well, there's a clear, methodical path you should follow, and it starts with a few rules that are, totally non-negotiable. So forget the shortcuts. This is all about building a proper launch pad for success. Here are your first 3 moves. Step 1. The guide says you should start in a familiar, regulated place like your own home equity market. In this case, the Indian market. Don't go jumping into something super volatile like international forex right away. Number 2, start small. Seriously, don't go after the big flashy company names. Just get a feel for the process with smaller stocks. And 3, and this one is absolutely critical, before you ever place a trade, you have to predefine your exit points. Know exactly how much profit you'll take, and even more importantly, know the exact loss that will make you get out. No exceptions. Let's move on to the next major point, and it's a simple one. Education is everything. I mean, thinking you can succeed in trading without studying is kind of like trying to perform surgery after watching one episode of a medical drama. It's a total recipe for disaster. And what's really interesting here is the time frame. This is not a weekend course. You need to expect to dedicate at least a full year to serious learning. You start with the absolute basics. Then, around 3 months in, you dive into fundamental analysis. That's basically studying a company's financial health to figure out what it's actually worth. By 6 months, you should be getting into technical analysis, which is all about reading charts and data to try to predict future price moves. It's only after a full year of this that you can even begin to grasp the deeper market dynamics, like where the big buyers and sellers are really operating. This really gets to the core mindset you have to have. Look, if you're here hoping you've bought a lottery ticket, you are almost certainly going to lose. But if you approach this whole thing like a business, with a plan, with risk management, with a real commitment to learning, then you give yourself a fighting chance. Okay, now we're getting into the deep end of the pool. Once you've been around for a while, you might start hearing about something called binary options. So is it the ultimate opportunity or is it the ultimate risk? Let's take a closer look. The name really says it all. A binary option is an all-or-nothing bet. You're guessing an asset's price in a really short time frame. If you're right, boom, you get a fixed payout. If you're wrong, you lose your entire investment. It's what's known as a zero-sum game. For every dollar someone wins, another trader somewhere has to lose that dollar. And here is why this stuff is so dangerous, especially for beginners. A huge warning from this guide is that these platforms can have up to 99% manipulation. They're often specifically designed to prey on that get-rich-quick feeling, and they can completely wipe out an inexperienced trader's account in an instant. You are dealing with the most extreme volatility here. Yeah, the potential for reward is huge. You can turn a small amount of money into a big one incredibly fast. But the risk is just as massive. That same capital could completely disappear on a single trade. It is the very definition of high risk, high reward. So is this ever a good idea? Well, our guide lays out some incredibly strict rules. Basically, you shouldn't even think about binary options until you have years of proven profitable experience. And even then, you should only use what's called extra money. Money you've already made from the market that you can afford to lose completely without even batting an eye. So after all these warnings, what is the actual secret to making it as a trader? The answer might surprise you. It's not about finding some magic formula. It's about something way more fundamental. Now here is a fascinating, kind of counterintuitive piece of advice. Who should you learn from? We all naturally want to learn from the winners, right? But the reality is, a truly successful trader is probably never going to share their actual profit-making secrets. So instead, find someone who lost, because they can tell you exactly what mistakes to avoid. And honestly, learning what not to do is often a much more valuable lesson. You see, the real secret isn't a secret at all. It's about mastering these 3 pillars. First, risk management, because protecting your money is always more important than making new money. Second is psychology. If you can't control your own greed and fear, the market is going to control you. And finally, independent study. That means learning to trust your own analysis, not just blindly following someone else's tips on the internet.
I absolutely love this final analogy. Think of the market as this huge, vast ocean of money. Your goal isn't to try and drain the ocean. You're not trying to get rich in one day. Your goal is simply to take out one glass of water, a small, consistent, manageable profit, day after day after day. That is the real path to long-term success.
And that really brings us to our final question. After everything we've talked about, the need for study, for discipline, for a business-like approach, you have to ask yourself this: are you here to be a trader, or are you here to be a gambler? Because the answer to that question will define your entire journey.